Tony Jones. Good morning.
Good morning. And there's a common denominator here, I reckon, between the Whiteboard and Michael Voss, and I'll get to that in a tick. But so you would have seen over the weekend, potentially, Tom, about the Auskick dad who had access to this Brisbane Whiteboard and then did what most people on social media do in that grandstand. So the Whiteboard was there. Now, this was essentially where players from Brisbane will put little summaries, if they like, strengths and weaknesses of the opposition, that being Essendon. So, for example, Zach Merritt was deemed selfish. There was another player for Essendon whose strength was his partner. Okay, that was embarrassing. But Ben McKay, his strengths, according to the Brisbane players, nil. So,
which is harsh because he's not the best defender in the league, but he's not the worst either. I wouldn't have thought.
So I don't have an issue with that if it stays in-house. But because it made its way onto the social media platforms and then the mainstream media, I just think there's got... And I had a spirited debate with Nathan Brown about this on the Sunday Footy Show yesterday, and Nathan said, look, it's not under 12s, and I get that. But when you got a bloke like Ben McKay, who is being publicly shamed now because of this Whiteboard, and again, it's not Brisbane's fault, but it's out there. You've got Essendon supporters booing him. You've got commentators lining him up day in, day out. And we're all about mental health. And I just reckon at some point, you've got to back off.
Well, okay, I see it a bit differently. I live my life assuming that anything I do will be filmed because everybody has a camera in their hand, right? So that if you behave badly, if you do the wrong thing, whatever, someone is going to film it and it will probably find its way into social media. So I don't think you blame the father who took the picture.
Who do you blame then?
You blame Brisbane for doing it.
No, you don't. No, you don't. It's all part of the tactics.
No, but if it's bad, then Brisbane are the ones who created this thing, right? Just because someone took a photo
in-house,
of it.
For in-house use.
Well, then don't allow non-players, non-club officials into the rooms.
Well, and that's the point. One of the points is I don't know how this parent actually got in there, all right, but probably ruined it for just about every Auskicker now that can sort of see that. No, it is the fault of that person who decided to grandstand and put it on social media.
It's funny because, our football calling team, we've done a similar whiteboard on a whiteboard and done the strengths and weaknesses of Richo and Tony Shaw, people like that. It's very accurate. You know, Richo's a good bloke, but couldn't kick straight all the time when he played for Richmond.
Yeah, but this was all done in humour.
Tony Shaw never pays for a coffee, which is true. And Shane McGuinness is always on holiday. And
no, he's not. He's always filling in for you and whoever else is off. But that's fine. That's all done in good humour. But this one has potentially far-reaching effects,
well,
and that is the burden that someone like Ben McKay, just because he kicks a leather football around, doesn't make him fair game, does it?
But the reason it does, unfortunately, and you're right, it's the same with Michael Voss at the moment. Like it's not entirely Michael Voss's fault that Carlton's had this horrific start to the season and keeps giving up half-time leads, but you know, in the traditional, particularly at Carlton, but in a lot of clubs, you know, the coach takes the blame when things go badly. And people have paid a lot of money, and you know every supporter wants their club to do well, even though of course they can't all do well at the same time. Someone's got to win and someone's got to lose. Well, going on to Michael Voss, I mean, you know,
you want him gone?
No, I actually don't want him gone.
Why are you raising it?
Well, I'm just saying because the calls for his head, you know, almost every Carlton supporter I know wants him gone. I don't know what the board's thinking, but history would tell you that they're contemplating it. Yeah. And so I'm asking you, what should happen?
Well, I think the breaking point might be the bye round, which is in about 4 weeks from now.
Yeah, because we could have no more wins.
But what does it achieve? What does it achieve bringing in a caretaker coach for the rest of the season?
Sometimes caretaker coaches actually jag a few wins.
And you know what happens? Then they convince the board and the supporters that they're the ones to actually lead the club. They don't last very long. See, you go back through the history of caretaker coaches who've got the senior job.
I know a couple of them. So with Michael Voss, I would let him see out his contract till the end of the year because what have you got to lose? I mean, we're not going to make finals, so it doesn't really matter. We might as well see if he can turn things around a bit. And, unless they go on some huge tear and suddenly start winning games one after the other, I mean, that would change everything, but it seems unlikely that will happen. I suppose the other issue is, given all the players they lost, Curnow, De Koning, Silvani, and I think there's another one, but I can't think who it is. I mean, was this inevitable for Carlton to do so badly?
No, I don't think so, because, I mean, if you had have looked at Carlton on paper, even with those departures, then you would think to yourself, OK, well, you know, Michael Voss has been given a commitment by the board to coach next season, i.e. this season, and you think to yourself there's stability there, which isn't always the case at Carlton.
It's 1 year of stability.
Yeah, but it's stability, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
a 5-year deal with a guaranteed 5 years of stability. 1 year is like an axe.
Well, what would have you done?
What?
What would have you done?
Oh, probably the same thing.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I wouldn't describe it as stable. That's my point.
Then why do it then?
Well, because I guess what they're saying to him is you either do better this year or you're out. That's what it is.
Yeah, without the constant axe hanging over your head.
Yeah, but trust me, the sword is hanging over his head.
But see, the problem is too that if you move Michael Voss on mid-season or that bye or whatever it might be, who's there? You can't just, if you've got your eyes on an existing coach, for example.
You're not going to move them mid-season.
Exactly. No. So what's the point of it?
I wanted to start today by talking about draws because I was listening to Richo on the Sunday show and he was saying absolutely not. If it's a draw, that's the result. It's not necessarily a win-loss. A draw is also a result. What's your view?
I'm probably in the minority. I'd go 5 minutes each way.
In normal season, not just finals.
In normal season, yeah. I think it would add so much to the game. So as a kid growing up, I'll never forget in 1994, Hawthorn and North played a final at Waverley and it was a draw, and Wayne Carey put on a clinic in the last 5 minutes each way, each end, and he dominated that and they won the game, North Melbourne. So I just love it. I just think it would add so much excitement to the game if we went 5 minutes each end. Some people, I've nothing against people who say a draw is a draw because I understand their view too, but I think it would add that much excitement to the game.
What if after 5 minutes it's still a draw?
Yeah, so you go another 5.
You just keep going.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Well, I agree with you actually because I feel like when you leave the game, it's flat and no one knows what to do. And there's always one side that should have won and one side that, they're lucky they got the draw.
Yeah, you're right. And Friday night, Hawthorn were disappointed because they had so much more ball inside 50, didn't capitalise. But yet Collingwood were the team 7 points up with 42 seconds to go. So they were disappointed. So it would have been great to go on a little bit longer.
I think that last 5 minutes, it sort of reminds me of when you used to be able to see the countdown clock. And I think it would. I agree with you. It would be exciting. 133 693 drive at 3aw.com.au. Do you agree with Lloydie? Should we have an extra 5 minutes for each side if the final result at the final siren is a draw? Now let's talk about the Bombers. I know I get you in every week and you're the mouthpiece for the Essendon Football Club and you hate it, so I'm sorry. But last week you said to me, Brad Scott, if these losses continue, will be on borrowed time.
I'm not. Yeah, so I think that he is coaching. Yeah, he's got to coach well for the rest of the year. In terms, he's contracted for next year, but they've won one of the last 21 games. So. They just have to improve. That they had a good 2.5 weeks, were really poor on Anzac Day, and then they started really poor. But Brisbane, they're just out of their depth against Brisbane. So I didn't expect it. No one expected anything different probably in that result, but it's just the way they're playing. So, yeah, I think Michael Voss and Brad Scott, they play each other in round 13. I think when we get to that point, if you're 1-12, both these teams, or you're 2-11, or whatever, you are going to be under pressure with where both their clubs are at.
Well, let's talk about Michael Voss and Carlton again now. Sadly, we have spent an exorbitant amount of time on this program, but at what point is it all in the mind, or is it the fact they don't have the cattle? But it's the same every week. Yeah,
I think that it is in the mind. It could be the type of players that they have. It could be, I don't know if it's fitness. I think it's a combination of everything. I think, say, a guy like Patrick Cripps, I've been critical of on this program a couple of times because I think that when it starts and it's a contested game, he's okay. But then you look at some of the players who are starring at the moment. It's the Pickett's, it's guys like Shea Bolton, it's Dacos. They can run and they can just keep running and running and running. And that's what Carlton don't have, and they run out of legs every week with the type of players they do have.
If you were on the executive there or the board that was making decisions, would you keep him on till the end of the year, Michael Voss?
Well, I think he goes at the end of the year. I don't know how they go about what week they do it.
Would you get rid of him now, though?
Not now, no. I don't think in the history of the game it's ever, everyone's ever gone this early. So, yeah, I would say at the mid-season, at least get to mid-season, because it's never fun for a caretaker coach to be doing it for this long. I think it's around that round 13 that's about the right time.
And are there people floating around that you think could do a better job?
Well, you just got to, like all the premiership coaches, Jackie, are those coaches who have been under successful programs. So, like, say, Damien Hardwick was a first-time coach, Adam Simpson, Luke Beveridge, I'm trying to think, Chris Fagan. Like, they're all people who have been in strong systems. So that's what, if Carlton go down that track, I'm sure Graham Wright will be looking at people who have been in the system at Brisbane. So Damien Hardwick, under him, when he was at Richmond, they had Adam Uze, Andrew McQualter, Adam Kingsley. So all those guys have come out of good programs, and that's what I think you look for when you're trying to find a new coach.
Okay, Paz, good afternoon.
Hey, Jackie, how are you, Lordo?
Hey, Paz.
Hey, I'm one of only a few people that have witnessed 2 drawn grand finals, been there. And my opinion, which for what it's worth, 100% come back next week.
Yeah, well, grand finals, I'm trying to think. I think we've got
because now it's changed because after the St Kilda.
Yeah,
because St Kilda would have won that game if they could play a bit longer, I reckon. Was it 96? What year was that?
No, it was 2000 and when Lenny Hayes.
2010.
Yeah, 2010. That's the one. Yeah, and I was up judging the Norm Smith in the drawn one, and then the week after we come back and Collingwood just were covered the ground much better and were a bit fresher, whereas St Kilda just had nothing in their legs. So. Yeah, it's a bit too taxing to butter up again.
Oh, no. And people make plans too. A couple of text messages. 2.5 minutes either way, perhaps. Otherwise, the AFL would be too scared to change it if it was 10 minutes. He's saying it could make it too long.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It doesn't happen very often.
2.5 minutes could be good.
Goals.
Making it even. It's like you could only get it down there once.
well, in rugby, they have the golden point. So it's just who scores next. So you could have the next goal in the game, but you don't want to blow the siren and then just say first goal wins. So that's where I think 5 minutes. But then you got to be fair. There could be a howling breeze.
Yes.
So that's why it's 5 minutes each
way. Michael from Mornington says, I was at the draw on Thursday night. I'm a Mad Hawks supporter. In a game where both teams can score 100+ points, we definitely should have played another 5 minutes each way to get a result. Footy is not like soccer where the draw is a common result.
I agree with that. I agree with that. So, again, I'm 2 points. I'm not against it. But personally, I think for the excitement factor, I think would say, why haven't we been doing this earlier if we did move to that?
Craig, on the draw, what do you think?
I reckon, if the AFL look at half time, if a team's in front, they get a point. Then at the end of the thing, if it's a draw, so they get 2 points. So someone gets 3 points, the other team gets 2 points.
I don't think I understand that, Lloydie.
Well, Carlton would be happy with that if when you're in... Get a point in, you're in front at half time. No, I don't think we need to complicate things like that.
I did read something funny about Carlton. They were like, they should run through another banner at half time and start the game again in their own minds.
No, it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
I was going to say, in your career, has there ever been an issue where mentally for a team it's gotten to this point?
I've seen the opposite, like Port Adelaide when they were strong, back when Kane Corns and those guys were there. They believed they were the fittest team in the comp, and they had under Darren Burgess, who's renowned for being the best, sports phys ed type guy in the comp, and they'd overrun teams. Craig McRae, they always believed that they could win games late, and they did it for years under Craig McRae. Yeah, but not something like this where it's gone the other way for teams.
Misha, hello.
How the heck are you?
Good.
I don't always. Sorry, I very rarely disagree with Lloydie, but on this one I do. I think, like with the home and away games, if it's a draw, it comes into the take it with the teaspoon of concrete, tough it up. Yep. But in a grand final, I think there I would go the extra 5 minutes. And the reason for that is your more the more cashed up clubs with the ability for a greater football spend have an advantage if it's played again next week, because all your resources are thinned and everything like that, and the smaller club is probably being pushed to their limit just to get to the grand final.
But there's no games.
They've changed it already.
Yeah, there's no games at all that you come back next week. It's just that we have rules for finals, we have rules for home and away games. So the rules for home and away games are a draw. Rules for finals is 5 minutes each end.
And you want it adopted through.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Misha, a $200 voucher thanks to Underworks Heat Bods, the number wonder down under for cosy socks this Mother's Day. Hey, I need to ask you about Whiteboard Gate and the comments from Chris Fagan following that. Did he go too far? Do you think it's sort of fair game if you've put the wording on the whiteboard and then the public walks in because you allow them to be in that space? I mean, it's sort of a bit bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see how he's disappointed because, it was information within their training facility and someone came through and they'd be feeling like we're doing the right thing, having the Oz kickers and their parents through and you let us down by taking photos of private information. Personally, I'd look at it the other way if I was Essendon. If I was Brad Scott and the coaching, I'd go to some of these players and use it and say, this is what the opposition thinks of you. Like they do think some of you are selfish and they do think some of you are poor decision makers, and that's what it is. And I think, Brad Scott took it pretty fine. But, I'd take it personally. If I was on that board and I was seen as a panicker and poor decision maker, well, I'd just look at it and go, okay, I've got to get better in that area. But that's a lot of clubs do it. We never did it in my time.
I was going to ask you in your time, did you write about the opposition? Is it a new thing?
Yeah, it must be a new thing. We'd obviously have opposition analysis and we'd go through players as a group and a team where our opposition coach would go through it all with us. But I've never seen a board before in my time at the club where it was written down. I don't know who writes things down, do they do it as a collective. Sam Draper is in the Brisbane team now. Could he have attributed a lot of it?
Would he be giving was he the source?
Don't know. And then, like Jackson Pryor, I don't think, obviously, partners should have been.
No, I don't think partners
that was
should
the
be.
one where,
Yeah.
but at least she was a strength, so she'd be pretty happy. She should be happy that she was seen as a strength.
Well, all the partners are a strength in my view, Lloydie. They keep the world running.
Yeah.
Mark, hello.
Yeah, hi Jackie, hi Lloydie.
Hey, Mark.
Collingwood supporter. I was there on Thursday night at the draw. Certainly was a hollow feeling at the end of the game. No song playing or anything like that. But I certainly would not like to see extra time played. Unfortunately, Lloydie, we've seen quite a few umpiring errors. And, a 5 minutes or a golden goal or something like that and a 50 given for a lousy protected zone decision or just a wrong decision, a lasso, these sorts of things would impact on the game severely.
But don't you think that could happen in the 2 hours anyway?
It does happen in the 2 hours.
So why are you so glass half empty thinking it might happen to Collingwood in the last 5 or 10 minutes?
Well, I'm not thinking it might happen to Collingwood. I'm thinking it might happen to any team, Lloydie. We've seen some terrible arc decisions recently
That is
to other
true.
teams.
But
not
it could,
just to
it could just
Collingwood.
happen. That can happen in the last second of a game. So I don't see what the difference is. You said it was a hollow feeling. That's,
You want to end the hollow feeling.
Yeah.
You want to make it worse or make it better.
I just think it would add to the game.
I agree with you. I was listening to the discussion. It's one of those ones, though, forever people have debated this issue in football, haven't they?
They have. And as I said, I'm not against anybody who wants to stick with the draw because that's their opinion. But as I said, for excitement, you'd be on the edge of your seat in that last 5 to 10 minutes.
I agree.